I think that routine and having a routine is misunderstood. On a daily basis, to get through your day, to get through your morning, to get your workouts in that day, to maybe you have something that you're studying for, a certification, some new job that you're studying for, so you have a study pattern set up. For these things, routine makes sense. This is why I think it's misunderstood. Routine can be very good for your daily efficiency and to move yourself forward. What I believe Musashi was trying to say with this precept is that in life, we have to be flexible. We have to be able to adapt to what life throws at us. Don't be so set in your way that you can't adapt to survive and to achieve your goals. It wasn't about daily routine. It was about through your life being able to adapt. Life is not going to give you everything that you need all the time, exactly as you need it. You have to plan for contingencies. You have to plan ahead for things that could happen. Look at your life today. Look at what you carry on your person every day. When you leave the house, you carry things that you may not use that day. Why? Because you don't know what might happen. Something might happen that you may need it. Okay? The same thing in your car. You carry things in your car you may not need all month, but you like to have them. Also, they come with the car for emergency situations. We prepare and we have to remain flexible because life is not going to give us everything. What we end up with is various tools in life, and we have to use them to achieve our goals. Being flexible in life, not being so rigid and fixed in our ways. As a young man, I moved into a Volkswagen van to live in, to save money on rent. And it worked very well. I was able to save money. I was able to help get myself out of debt, pay off college debt. I was able to invest a little bit of money. It was early on before I really took investing seriously. I was early 20s. I wasn't taking investing so seriously, but I did some investing because I had extra money. It allowed me to make positive changes in my life. Was it a radical difference from being in an apartment? Yes, it was. But it worked. I stayed flexible. I adapted to what I needed to do so that I could get ahead. So I could set a goal for myself, build a plan to get there, and that plan may actually include steps that were outside of my normal routine and changes in my life. I would ask you to welcome this kind of change, to make it part of your abilities, that you have to tell yourself and understand, I am not so set in my ways. I'm someone who can adapt. I am someone who can be flexible to survive. I can make changes in my life to get ahead. Tell yourself that so that you build that personal reinforcement. That way you're not so afraid when things happen down the line. Later in life, I was working on a property that I was remodeling, and I lived in it while the remodeling was taking place. This is not a normal lifestyle. This is not something that's so comfortable. You're like living in a construction zone. But I look back on it now and I say, it really wasn't that bad. At the time, to walk into where I was living, you'd think you are living in a construction zone with just supplies everywhere and equipment and things plugged in, tools, power tools. Everyday construction workers show up. You're waking up because all their pickup trucks are pulling up to your house. It seemed odd and radical at the time. Now it doesn't. Now it was just a means to an end, and it wasn't that bad. Remaining flexible, being willing to deal with some what might be considered hardships at the time, but you're really just adapting to what you need to do to achieve your goals. I believe another point that Musashi was making with this precept, from a warrior standpoint, but also still translatable and applicable to our world today if you are not in a military environment. And that is to not be as predictable to others. To not live a life as predictable. To be able to change your plan and your strategy in life, and you don't need to project it out there to everyone. You can make your plans, start moving towards them, and keep them close hold. Keep them to yourself. Others don't need to know everything about what you're going to do, nor should they feel that you and your life is so predictable. If you are predictable to others, you are easier to fool and to confuse because they now know your normal patterns and routine. Shake things up a little bit. Don't make yourself so predictable. In the way that you react, in the way that you live your life. Be more flexible and change things up. I think that was part of what Musashi meant by this. Even though we translate it into our modern world today, I think his concern was that he didn't want to see the warriors that came into the battlefield, the generations after him, to be predictable. I would like to summarize this video by thinking about a philosophy that is handed down not just by warriors from hundreds of years ago, but also by modern day martial artists. We heard this discussed by Bruce Lee, and this was just decades ago. To be able to adapt, do not rely on just one system in life. Do not rely on one strategy. Do not become fixated on only one way of thinking. The only way I'm going to survive is if I do this job because that's what everyone else is doing around me. I'm only going to make it in life if I'm in this city because it's where I was born and raised. I can't go anywhere else where there might be more opportunities. I have to try to live with the hardship of where I am and what I'm doing now. And if it makes my life miserable, that's just the way life is. I want us to break away from that thought. And I think this is something that martial artists have been telling us for years. They didn't mean just in fighting, they meant in life. To be able to adapt, to achieve your goals, to be less predictable by others. I appreciate you spending some time with me today, and I hope that you found this discussion on this precept to be interesting. I would also encourage you to put something in the comment section about this precept. Where do you feel this was heading, and also is there any input that you would like to mention? Every Saturday, again, this is a 21-part series, so every Saturday we will be discussing one of the precepts of Miyamoto Musashi's book, Dokkodo. And I hope that you have a wonderful week. We'll talk again soon. And aloha.